Good afternoon from InvestSharp. This is Randy Smotone with your Thursday, February the 4th market update. On the economic front, weekly jobless claims were worse than expected, coming in up 8,000 to 480,000. Estimate was for only 455,000. Non-farm productivity was up 6.2%, and unit labor cost came in at minus 4.4%. The estimate for the unit labor cost was for minus 3.8%. So it wasn't too far off. Nat gas report showed a drawdown of 115 billion cubic feet, which was less than expected because draw of 129 billion cubic feet. On deck for tomorrow is the Big Kahuna, the monthly employment situation report. The prior non-farm payroll number was minus 85,000, so the consensus range for tomorrow is minus 40,000 up to a positive 75,000. The prior unemployment rate was 10%, and tomorrow the consensus is 9.9% to 10.2%. So those are what we will be watching for as far as numbers on that. So of course the dollar was up pretty big today, and of course all the commodities, gold, silver, copper, oil, everything was slaughtered again. And so light sweet crude futures were actually down $3.84 to settle at $73.14 a barrel. Take a look at the West Texas Intermediate Crude point figure chart. So we had went to a new column of X's. Now we're in a new column of O's. So now the new sell, West Texas Intermediate Crude will go on a sell signal now if it prints 72, because it will. This O needs to print one box lower than the prior column of O's. So now oil will go on a sell signal if we can print $72. All right, so we'll be watching that. So let's go over, take a look at the Dow. Well, let's take a look at the dollar real quick. So here we've been watching the dollar, lots of buying. We've had a little bit of resistance here. We went flying through it today on volume. So we got another resistance level around $23.70. So we'll be watching that on the dollar. Let's take a look at the Dow. Dow was down a lot today. Dow closed down 268 points to 10,002. S&P closed down 34 points to 1,063. Nasdaq closed down 65 points to 2,125, and the Russell closed down 21 points to 589. The Dow held up the best by being down 2.61%. The Russell was the weakest, down 3.44%. So we'll take a look here. Looks really nasty. I'm not sure where the next level we're going to go to. Could be possibly maybe down here, and then maybe eventually back down here. So we'll be watching how low we go. And on the S&P, probably, we'll probably get back down here to where we were before, about 1,035. We broke this trend line here that we've had some support. We've broken it today, which is pretty nasty. So I'm expecting at least maybe possibly back down to the 1,035, and we may go much lower. Depends on whatever's going on. We've got all this sovereign debt worries from various, overseas countries. Portugal is involved now. We already had Greece, and we got Spain and Italy and all these. So we'll be watching that. So obviously, it's another very high volume selling day in the market. So we're in a very news driven market, a very nervous market environment right now. It has nothing to do with company fundamentals. The technicals are getting, messier because of all this massive sell-off that's going on. But also keep in mind, when we have days like this, and we've had a couple of really big, down days prior, here last week. So we could have a 200-point up day. So that doesn't mean we'll reverse and go higher. I have no idea, but just keep that in mind that we could have a really big up day coming too. So basically, it's the best thing to do is stay on the sidelines, stay out of the market. If you got to trade, do it with, very small position sizes. Keep your trading to a minimum. We need to let the market stabilize, and Fridays typically aren't a great day to buy anyway. So let's go look at the McClellan. We're still very oversold. So we're back to minus 70. We've been down here. We've been staying oversold for quite some time now, actually. So continue to watch that. Let's take a look at GS. Goldman's flying right back down towards this level of 150 that it's been at before. XLF has broken that 14 support level on high volume, so financials have broken down as well. Gold has some support right here at 104. If we break that, the next area is probably going to be down here around 100. Silver, really nasty. Filled this gap it had. It's got some support around $14.80. Let's take a quick look at the VIX. VIX is almost back up here to this prior, we got a trend line here, a downtrend line. VIX was up over 20% today, almost 21%. That is really nasty. Lots of put buying going on. Let's look at the sectors. All 16 sectors we follow finished in the red today. The drug index held up the best by being down 2.1%. The gold index was the weakest, down 5.62%. So there's what your sectors turned out. Let's go take a look at gold futures today. So we're going to take a look at gold futures. This is a 6-month daily chart. It's a line chart. Back in December, I think it was around December, the central banks, numerous central banks were buying gold. They did it around this 1,065 level. They're trying to hold this level, so we're still at this 1,000 right now. Actually, we're back up to 1,068 as we speak. So watch this 1,065. They're trying to hold it. We'll see if they can. If commodities keep going lower and the dollar keeps going higher, I don't know if they can. But this should be a pretty important support level for gold. Okay, let's go to chart watch. On this chart watch, I don't necessarily condone buying anything, but these are just things to watch. A lot of these have held up well, and then there's some of the ideas that can help you in this nasty market. Cisco, it's right up into a resistance area, and it pulled back, but it could keep watching it because there is interest in Cisco right now. The yen was up a lot today, so if you want a long, maybe the yen's the place to go, FXY, so keep your eye on that one. If you want to go long a short ETF, you could use the dog. It is not double leveraged. It's a 1-for-1. It was up 2.5% today if you need some protection in your portfolio. You could go long the UUP if you think the dollar's going higher. So that's another idea. Auto parts store, AAP held up pretty well, so it might be one to keep on your radar. The regional banks is at support. It has not broken it. It held today. So here's a trend line. Here's it. So watch the regional banks ETF here, and it's actually holding. Here's a little stock you might want to watch. Gray Television, GTN. Amgen. Definitely sold off today, but it's got support down there at that trend line around that 57, so you might want to watch Amgen. Allergan had earnings, did pretty good, went much higher, but pulled back because the market was so weak. I wouldn't want to buy it unless it gets above 60. Netflix, another one holding up really well. So watch Netflix. GMCR holding up really well. It's another one to watch. Cummings is holding up really well. CMI, another one to watch. McDonald's is back at that where it broke out at 64. It should have support there. Of course, depends on if the market continues lower. Nothing will have support anywhere probably. Ryland, a couple of home builders are still looking pretty good. Ryland's got support around that 22. D.R. Horton that reported had great earnings, is holding up really well. Some of these discount stores are holding up really well. FDO has resistance at 31.50. It will probably have need a lot of volume to break out above 31.50, but it'll probably fly once it does that. Big Lots is looking good, holding up well. 99-cent stores went flying higher, 14.2% today. Has resistance up there above it though. And Gap's held up pretty well. Gap stores. It's at a resistance level, so I wouldn't want to buy it unless it gets above that $20 mark. Let's take a look at the current market signals. There's really no change in them today. So Dow's still on a sell, Nasdaq's still on a sell, and S&P remains on a buy. So that's really it for today. Thanks for joining me. Be careful out there, and remember to always invest.